What's up, everybody? We're going to take another look at the hip windmill. I'll call it a stretch, but it's really a good hip mobilizing drill. And I think you should do these before swings, squats, especially if you're prone to having tight or immobile hips. Let's take a watch.
If you were doing it here, no, we'll see how you feel. If you want, we can do it at least in a half straight.
Okay, so I'm going to backtrack it. The first thing I want to emphasize is right through here. This is not a drill for me just to take my arm and reach it as far as I can. My arm is really just going to move with my body. So as I start, you'll notice one of the first things I start to do is I start to reach over. I want to find my hip, and I'm telling myself, okay, this hip here is going to be twisting underneath. So it's going to be twisting from my left to my right. So I'm just going to start by going through a few little twists. You see I'm twisting, and this outside hand here, this is pushing through the ground very, very hard. That is going to make sure that when I'm actually doing the twist, that I'm not twisting using my lumbar spine. I'm actually twisting using my spine, or my spine is rotating as a global unit rather than just one isolated part. So I'm pushing down, and you'll see that I begin, before I even move my arm, my right arm, I twist, I rotate. Now I'm just going to keep on rotating. I'm just cranking as far as I can go. And pause. Right here, this is already a really great stretch for me. The hip that I'm opening up is actually on the far side, so you can't see it. But through here, it's already opened up. Now I'm going to take my arm and I'm going to bring my arm up. And that's going to help sort of just crank me open as far as I can go. It's also good for thoracic mobility. And from here, I'm going to hold for, I'll say 2 to 5 seconds. I really want this leg here as straight as it can be. Really, actually, the line I'm looking for is from here to here. I'm making my body as tall as I can make myself. If I start to hunch my back, which is possible to do while you're doing this, then I'm going to lose it. So I'm going to get here, I'm going to hold, and then on this axis, on this line that I drew, I'm then going to begin to rotate back down. So you can see that not only is my upper arm moving, my entire body, we'll just say my hip to my shoulder, my spine is rotating, my pelvis is rotating, and this is going to be the way that we work on, we'll just say the lateral aspect of the hip. I showed this to a guy today that I've worked with for a while. I've seen him start from never touching a belt to doing some pretty advanced movements. And his issue, like my issue, like a ton of our issues, this is very, very common, is if we have any type of immobility in our hip, something is going to have to pick up that slack. So let's say, I'll give you some arbitrary numbers. Let's say that during a hip hinge, during a swing, my hip has to, we'll say account for, let's just say 50% of the movement, which again, I'm giving you an arbitrary number. Let's say that my hip only moves 20%. Well, other joints in the body are going to have to pick up the remaining, 30%. And usually what happens is we get rounding of the spine. Well, the knees get a little bit more bent than maybe they should. Usually, though, the spine, rather than staying straight, the spine, which is a joint, it's a bunch of joints, will end up doing that. So this is a great way to open up, making sure that, we might have strong glutes, we might have powerful glutes, we might have powerful everything, but if our hips are locked up, they're going to be sort of a jail, and they're going to kind of prevent our hips from even doing what they're capable of doing. So before we practice on power and strength, we want to make sure that we can have the mobility through the joint itself. And this is a really good thing to do before just about everything. So give this a try. Again, especially if you're struggling with the downstroke of your swing, you feel like you're kind of getting bunched up, the chest is collapsing. Try this out and see if this helps kind of groove the hips, allowing you to not have to fall into that collapsed position. Yeah, give it a try. Let me know how it goes.